was a child, I looked forward to Black History Month. Uh, I was growing up, they talked about certain people all of the time in a positive way in the South, of course, like Benjamin Banneker and Booker T. Washington. And being that I grew up in Alabama, it was quite clear why Booker T. Washington would come up. As I got older, and probably in my late 20s up until now, I didn't make a concerted effort to celebrate Black History Month. Now, for the record, because I'm gonna tick you off, but I'm not intending to. I took Morgan Freeman's definition of that. And the reason that I did is because you have to understand by the time I stopped fully caring and treated it as another month, I was already in college studying history, and I had gotten to the University of Washington and got some confirmation about slavery from one of my favorite, who had become my favorite college professor, or two of them. One is an FBA and one is from, well, she may call herself African American, and one is from Puerto Rico. And they talked about slave empires and subjugation and things like that. Because I thought it had become too commercialized, I thought it had become too sterile. And my thing is, if I'm an American that served this country, my history's every day. I'm not saying that as an intent to get out of something. It's just the way some people actively celebrated Black History Month. I did not do that. And that's the reason. Because my attitude is, you have to understand also at the time I was reading Harlem Renaissance novels, reading poetry, and to this day I still keep up and study that stuff. I don't fit my own history in this country as an American into a month. Never have and never will. Then Willie D. Live did a breakdown of it, and it started to make perfectly good sense. 2026 is a different year. You're on the news and you're hearing things like exhibits to slavery was moved from the National African American Museum. We know slavery happened, but we need to remove the exhibits now to pretend that it didn't. That kind of BS just doesn't fly with me. And again, I had to catch myself to not curse because I don't want to. And I'm trying to work on not doing that. If I made a resolution, which I don't really believe in them, that's what I wanted to stop doing. But so far, I've been bad at holding it. Here's the thing, I'm still not going to make a big fuss out of Black history the way that I once did when I was a kid and was so optimistic about our contributions. Because I'm old enough to understand that even our leadership came with nuances. I'm going to give you the 3 reasons why I think it's still important, even if you don't want your history relegated to a month. Again, I stand 10 toes down on what Morgan Freeman said. The difference being is that I feel he's pushing a post-racial society. And I think the way in which he says it, because I got this egalitarianism in Hollywood, or what I think egalitarianism is. And basically to me, he's doing it in a way to say that race isn't a big deal. Yet a lot of the decisions in this country are still being made based on racism. People were just more subtle about it till fairly recently when they started showing their butt again. I never have and never will believe in a post-racial society. I just don't sit around worrying about if somebody do or don't like me because I'm Black, because that's more of their issue than mine. Now, that's my take on things. Don't physically touch me. Don't come in my peripheral. If you don't like me because I'm Black, that's fine. I don't dislike you for your skin color, but whether you dislike me for mine or not. Just stay out of my peripheral. Here are the 3 reasons that I think Black History Month is still remaining relevant or should. I'm not going to tell you how to celebrate it, but the third reason is going to be why I, moving forward, will give some open contribution in my own way to this month. And I'm interested in hearing how y'all are going to also celebrate it moving forward. All right. Without further ado, we're going to get into this. The first reason I think that Black History Month is still relevant, okay? Got the image on the screen. Some of y'all will know what this is. This book came out in the early 90s. The internet is Google search is very weird about the author Jeanette Winter. The Jeanette Winter who wrote this book may have passed away shortly before Thanksgiving 2025. But Wikipedia doesn't credit her as writing and illustrating this book, although her name's on it. If it is the white lady who is the only child of Swedish immigrants, may she rest in peace, she wrote this. You'll be amazed at how many people don't know this. Follow the Drinking Gourd was a way of slaves to say rhymes or sing songs to go to freedom. And I think it's either the Little Dipper or the Big Dipper. But this book was put in my face as a kid. And I grew up with this story, and this story was told throughout the South when I was a little girl. To my knowledge, or I can just say Alabama, North Alabama. So, me and an ex-friend were talking. And I was shocked when she was saying, because she grew up in the North, that she had never heard this story. I'm like, oh yeah. So next thing you know, this book shows up at her house. And we're not friends anymore because I ordered it for her. She's going through it and she's flabbergasted because as much as she knew about Black history, she never knew this story. What am I telling you? To know your history, you're going to have to go find it and study it for yourself. Don't wait for a system or a month to tell you who you are. Yeah, that's going to make people mad, but I'm just telling you. All of the Negro spirituals, whether you believe in God or not, you need to look into what the songs are actually saying from a standpoint of us getting freedom. Because some of this stuff was written more in code than it was in spiritualism. And with books being banned and burned and things, you need to instill your own history in the home and have physical, tangible copies for your children so that they get an understanding of who they are. And I tell you that the importance of highlighting this book is instill it in them while they're young so that they have a sense of who they are when they step out in society. Because I guarantee whatever you don't tell them, society's gonna tell them. And then that's when they're gonna resent you for not sitting them down and having those conversations. So if y'all can get this book, get it. And if she was the Jeanette Winter that passed away November 7th of 2025, may she rest in peace. Okay? They've been trying to downplay Benjamin Banneker's contributions. Go look this up because everybody's like, ain't nobody downplaying. Go research this. Even now, some professor wrote a paper less than 10 years ago downplaying Benjamin Banneker's contributions. And you know, of course, as historians, people have a right to research and argue things. I'm using Benjamin Banneker as the example because now the fact that we achieve things whilst most of our people were in chains is now a threat to people. Benjamin Banneker, in his almanac and his knowledge of things, his astrology is now a threat to people. Why is that? Because unlike the modern times when you can go study what you want, he is a great example at adversity. Because when you watch Hollywood films, and this is a classic example of why I don't watch slave films, you are being conditioned to believe that that's what you were and that's what you always will be. Whilst there were black people that were free, or apprentices, which means they weren't fully free, but they had stuff and were making names for themselves, having their inventions stolen, or someone saying they couldn't have been as smart as they were, either because they're property, so let me take their property because they're property and not people, or because they were born free and were able to do things that enslaved black people weren't. If we downplay Benjamin Banneker's contributions, then he was nothing. And if we can make him nothing, then we can continue to sell the narrative that black people did not contribute anything to this society. Look, this is not something to make you dislike races of people, because I've told y'all this before. I have no hatred for anybody based on their skin color. Okay, I just don't. But when I looked up Benjamin Banneker, I was shocked. Because if you're going that far back to overreach, that means you need all of us to believe that all we ever were up until emancipation were slaves. And that's a lie. And they're doing that now in a time when knowledge has increased. Why would you do that now? Because a lot of y'all drop out of school early and can't read. Yeah, but we know who these people are. Knowing it and studying it are two different things. Now they can downplay the contribution of your leaders. And slavery was so bad they can't exactly put you back in physical chains, but put you in mental ones now. Other than the prison system, which, come on, that's just that prison industrial complex is another form of slavery. And now they're making offenses even harder to get out of so that you'll give to that system and be locked down longer. We know that's the truth. If I can go back and overreach and downplay the significance of FBA, ADOS, or African American contributions, and that we can now make Benjamin Banneker nothing, what do you have to celebrate? Nothing but what Hollywood wants you to believe. That's why to this day I've not seen Django Unchained and don't want to see it. Anything dealing with on outright slavery in Hollywood narrative, I want nothing to do with it. If it's not a documentary about it, I want nothing to do with it. Why? Because the mentality is to let you know that's all you ever contributed to this country. And that everything else is a recent miracle. And that was a lie. There were always exceptions to the rule in the United States. And you need to start a certain Benjamin Banneker. Because he wrote a whole letter to Thomas Jefferson that you can find online, translated modernly. Because you know them folk wrote in cursive back then. Of course, I grew up writing that too. Because you're resting on your laurels, they can now downplay the contributions of freed blacks, so that you don't really know or understand that there were almost always free black people in this country. They didn't just fight out of slavery and go hide in an underground railroad. Some of them did fight. So you got to start studying your own history and keep us certain that there was no linear path for all of us in this country. Third, how am I going to celebrate Black History Month? And the answer is simple to me: economics. See, people push this narrative. I'll shop a business no matter its race. I do that already. My favorite shops I frequent here, some of them are not black owned, but I have to admit that I'm blessed in this part of Western Washington, in the state of Washington. They try to tell you not a lot of black people here. No, they're here. You just got to network and do your thing. Seattle has a lot of things. And you got this big group of black people who have now started something called the Black Night Market. And they're coming back in May. I'm buying all kind of black owned stuff. So people who tell you not to do that don't have your history, don't have your family recipes we pass down based on our heritage. They don't have your texture of hair either. And let's not pretend that doesn't matter, the texture of black people's hair. Especially when you get to the 4 category, 4A, B, and C, is some of the most unique on the planet. You don't have this hair without having some sort of melanin, period. See, people will sit here, the same people who sit here and say, I'll shop any business regardless of race. Don't go look at the current stats of black businesses for people who've contributed to this country. Don't let people make you feel bad because you want to assist a black owned business, okay? And for the record, if people want to shop all black, let them. If people only want to shop all white businesses, let them. All Asian businesses, all Hispanic businesses. This is a free country. You're free to spend your money how you please. I just think it's interesting that people get all up in arms when people want to shop a black owned business. In the climate we're in, we should know by now that we've have contributions. So moving forward, this is how I'm celebrating Black History Month. I've already ordered my second copy of Follow the Drinking Gourd as of this recording, February 2026, because I want to keep a copy. Prior to that, I think late January, I ordered a copy from my godson, who's also my cousin, who will be getting it in October for his 5th birthday, amongst other things, because I'm going to spoil him rotten. He's starting kindergarten. A friend of mine's on YouTube, if you know, you know, I'll let that person decide if they're going to do a reveal. His birthday is February 17th, the same day as my dad. And I've decided to make this a BIPOC birthday for him. My dad is of a different generation, so being a boomer, and I'm not saying that has anything to do with it, but I'm going to make this February 2026 an economic BIPOC birthday for that person. They may or may not watch this video, but I'd already given the warning because I don't know if they're going to do a reveal of the products. I'm not going to say their names, but pretty much they're going to get like good kitchen gourmet foods from a black owned olive oil store out of Atlanta. They're gonna get some stuff out of Washington State. I'm sending them a few items from Washington State from black owned, some unique black owned businesses. I am even sending them some more homemade pear butter and homemade not applesauce. I don't know how I was going to say that. Hot sauce that I've made. I've made 2 attempts at homemade hot sauce. I think Black History Month is the greatest time to assert our economics as a people in this country. And it's not that I won't go back to making Black History Month videos. I'm just not doing it this year. I don't know that I'll do it in 2027 either. I'm weighing my options. We got to help each other and help black businesses economically. Don't get me wrong. Some of our people do overcharge, but other people will go to non-black businesses and pay even higher for the same thing. So both things are true. My opinion is that we're doing just a reflection on the history, not thinking about the future. The Future's AI, but the future is definitely our economic community and how our economics will empower our children. So moving forward, yeah, I've even bought myself things from black owned businesses. I get to ship some of the stuff here from Washington State from black owned businesses to my buddy soon. One thing he was supposed to get for Christmas and didn't. And because y'all got terrible weather right now going on back on the East Coast where he is, he may not get it anytime soon. By the time this video hit, most of that stuff, if the weather calms down, will have made it to his house by his birthday. He shares birthday with my dad, so North Alabama isn't getting it bad as Alabama down by the coast by the panhandle. So in the future, Black History Month, so you're saying Black History Month, Tara, is about spending money. Yeah, spending money in a black-owned business. I am going to make I'm going to make an effort from now on this month to make this particular month, February, being the shortest month, to make it the best month. And to make it the best month, I'm shopping black-owned. Don't get me wrong, I'm still going to shop my regular businesses. But moving forward, I'm going to make a I also say consolatory. I don't know what I was going to say. I'm going to make an effort to go out of my way to let a black business know that someone within their own community care enough to contribute. Now, I already do this, but I was shocked to learn about that black-owned olive oil store. I got him some stuff, and I got me some. And so now that I know they will ship to where he is in Mississippi, can't wait. Now, whether he does a reveal or not, I don't know. But I will put a post on my page if he decides. That's his birthday stuff. He doesn't have to do that. But I've decided that the American dollar, is the best way to go. If you're celebrating Black History Month, how are y'all gonna do it? I'm just curious. I apologize for my cat because she's just gonna interfere with my recordings. That's just what she does. So, thank y'all for listening. How are y'all gonna celebrate Black History Month? Drop some comments. Let me know. Let me know what you agreed with, what you disagreed with what I said. Thank y'all for listening. Have a good one.